Time for another edition of Unlock with Fox's Brock Huard. I am Lance Taylor from the Next Round on Disrupt the Media. Make sure you like, subscribe, give us that thumbs up. We would appreciate that. It is brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use that code Next Round. Get that first deposit bonus on the house at mybookie.ag. So, nice Monday night matchup. We have a team that you cover, Seattle, hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. It looks like the Eagles are limping in. I mean, when they were 9-1, everybody was like, could this be, not that they look dominant, but could this be the best team in the NFL? They've given up 30-plus in 3 straight games. Something's wrong with the defense. Offense doesn't seem like it's clicking like it did last year under Jalen Hurts. Right now, as Philadelphia heads to Seattle, what seems to be wrong with the Eagles?
Yeah, I think just a little bit. We were talking earlier about Detroit and talked about the Lions handling just new territory, like newfound, expectations and everything. For Philly, it feels a little bit different. Like, okay, I mean, we know this is really important. And at 9-1, it looked like we were going to be the number 1 seed. And maybe you just step off the gas just a little bit. Maybe just that sense of urgency that, and we got this. We know how to play. We can. And I'm not just saying they're just showing up. I'm sure they're putting all the work in Monday through Saturday, but just that desperation, just that human nature, just that sense of urgency that, oh, yeah, okay, this is getting real. Well, it's getting real. And in Philadelphia, we were listening this week on my radio show in Seattle to some of the callers and some of the hosts, Lance, in Philly, and you would think they were like 2-9 and done.
Yeah.
And Sirianni, he can't coach. I've told you all along, he can't coach. You got no feel for this offense. They're terrible.
Didn't he win the NFC last year?
Yes.
Yeah.
And weren't they just, as you said, 9-1 and physically dominant? So
I mean, would 25 teams in the NFL not take that right now where Philadelphia is?
Yes, they would. Yes. And you know what's going to happen. And you know exactly, and I know exactly what the messaging has been in Philly this week, especially with an extra day. We get back to basics. Right? When you lose like this in the NFL and you lose a couple games, we're going to take the volume down. We're going to get back to who we are. We're going to get back to the fundamentals, and we're going to do what we do, and that is play bully ball. And that is a dangerous place to be if you're the Seahawks, because if you've watched them against Dallas and you've watched them twice against San Francisco and you've watched them against the Rams, as I have, and lose these 4 games, the first time in Pete Carroll's history, you have seen teams just say to that defense and to that front in particular, like, yeah, we're going to manhandle you. We're going to maul you on the edges. We're going to protect. We're going to be balanced, and you're going to be in real trouble. And Dallas is going to put up 40, and the Niners are going to put up 500 yards and go up and down this field. And the Rams are going to be good enough to run it, and Stafford's going to go finish it. And so for Pete Carroll, man, he's staring down a barrel he has never stared down before. He's already now lost 4. He's an underdog to lose his 5th. You want to talk about desperation, never been higher than it has, and it will be Monday night in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I said this last year, and I'll stick to it. If Jalen Hurts doesn't miss multiple starts last season, I think he's your MVP. And a guy that actually watched him at Alabama to Oklahoma, I thought he was an incredible competitor. I thought he was a great college player. I never saw him being a consistent starting quarterback at this level, and he has a great year last year. And although the record's still good, there seems to be some flaws coming up. So if I ask you right now where Jalen Hurts is in his career, is he a borderline elite quarterback? Is he a top 10? Is he top half? Where do you have Jalen Hurts right now?
Well, you can get to a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts. So that's an elite quarterback. He proved it last year. Is an unbelievably young guy. When he made that transition, Lance, from Alabama to Oklahoma, I think that season I covered him 3 times with Lincoln Riley. And at the beginning of the year, and they went to the Rose Bowl. And I don't know if you remember that game. I think he ran for 300 yards, and Oklahoma could have put up 1,000 on Chip Kelly. And then mid-year and then late in the year. And what you watched Lincoln have to evolve his system to Jalen's strengths, which was run and play action and, really play the game that way. So different than anybody Lincoln had ever had. At the end of that year, they were a 72% run team. I remember writing that number down. I think we had Oklahoma State. We had Bedlam that year. And going into that game, I was like, man, Lincoln Riley, like the last 4 games with Jalen, is throwing or running at 72%. That never happens. It's Lincoln Riley. Like, what are we doing? But that's, where they played their best ball. And I, like you, did not think that would necessarily translate to the next level. I think a lot of people did as well. He wasn't drafted in the first round. Ultimately, into the second round, Howie Roseman and Philly's like, no, hold on a second. This skill set's pretty good. This mentality's even better. This dude's an unbelievable winner. Football character through the roof, can handle adversity. Will be able to handle Philadelphia. If he could handle Tuscaloosa and he could handle Norman, two pretty darn tough markets for a quarterback, he's going to be able to handle this one. So, yeah, that to me, that stuff matters. Now some of the accuracy, some of the anticipation. Is it A1? Is it Joe Burrow? No. Is it, Aaron Rodgers? No. But man, the other stuff, the guts, the guile, the toughness, the running. I think they'll put that Baltimore Ravens tape in if I'm Philadelphia and I watched what Baltimore did to Seattle as they totally dominated that game, humiliated the Seahawks in that venue. I think that's the kind of game plan you're going to see Monday night.
You referenced desperation in Seattle right now where they are. And we go back a couple of weeks ago on Unlocked with Fox's Brock Huard. You were like, Pete Carroll, I can't remember him losing 3 consecutive games in Seattle. Then last week you were like, he's never lost 4 consecutive games. And now obviously he's never lost 5 consecutive games. And the fact of the matter, he is the oldest coach in the NFL. He doesn't act like it. Nobody wants to go out without their fastball, and only a few people can name their shot and go out on top. For Pete Carroll, though, Bill Belichick, it doesn't look like it's going to end good in New England. For Pete Carroll, though, do you think he would go out in a season where he misses the postseason?
No, I don't think. No, not the way he's wired. I don't think in any world that he would say, "Yeah, I'm done." He's so unbelievably competitive, and while 72 on his birth certificate, the energy is 32, and frankly better than mine at 47 with this freaking sinus infection I've had. So he, he's not. No, he would not go out that way. The problem is some of the stars that they've paid and empowered are just. They're not playing at that level. And that's Jamal Adams. That's Quandre Diggs. That's DK Metcalf, who is still just a ticking time bomb at all times, seemingly every week. And
he's almost the Draymond Green of the NFL.
Yeah.
And DK is so talented. I mean, if that guy, for whatever reason, and maybe emotion helps him play at the level he plays, but if he could just focus on his team and what he does exceptional, he could be a top 3 or 4 receiver.
He could. Some of his change of direction is limited, and that's where I don't put him up on that list with the elite guys, the Jamar Chases and the Jeffersons that just can do everything. He is a power runner. Like he is a vert, he's a slant, he's a post, he's a you hit it running. Like, oh my gosh. There's not been many in the history of the league at 235 that run 22 miles an hour. Now his other stuff, his curl routes, precision on outs, the things that people are now sitting on and realizing like, oh, okay, that change of direction, that short area quickness is not. That's a trade-off when you're that big and that unbelievably physical as he is. And I don't know if he could ever be like a Marvin Harrison Jr., just change of movement at that size. But he's elite. And unfortunately, just temperamentally. And it wasn't even a fight at the end of the game. If you saw earlier in the game, Lance, he took his helmet and just destroyed like the heating element on their bench. Like, and people couldn't even talk to him. And at that point, the game is still close, but he's just so frustrated and gets so wrapped up. And Pete loves guys on the edge, but it's over the edge. Jamal over the edge. And there's some real friction there that they're going to have to fight through. And Pete strongly believes, he really does in his heart of hearts. He believes that everything they've been through this year, all these ups and downs, all these tough losses, couple critical wins, that if they can turn this and if they can get in the dance, they're going to have a whole bunch of grit behind it and a whole bunch of experience to lean into.
He's Fox's Brock Huard. It's Unlocked. We do it every week here on Disrupt the Media. Like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. I'm Lance Taylor for the Next Round. Always brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use that code Next Round. Get that first deposit bonus on the house at mybookie.ag.